I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything, you know? Like, thank you. It's been a hell of a journey. It really has. Like, it really it's been amazing, you know? Me and you going side by side against the Bears. It's been an honor. It's been an honor. You know, we've seen it all. We've had such an amazing time together. You know, we've gone through everything together, and it's just. Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Ahmed at Altcoin Era. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join our private members. But before I begin, Ramadan Mubarak. It's the start of Ramadan. Just make sure to pray for our bags. Just pray. Just make a little prayer for our bags. In the past week, the S&P 500 has gone down. The Nasdaq has gone down. Crypto has gone down. Bitcoin has gone down. The entire financial market is in a downturn. Bitcoin on the monthly has never, ever seen a red monthly candle like this. It's gone down a whopping 17.4%. On average, in the month of February, we normally go up 13%, and the median is 12.21%. Ethereum in the quarterly, in 2025, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a typo, it's gone down a whopping 33%. Ethereum normally does good in the first quarter. Will it be able to redeem itself, or will it still be in struggle street? In this month alone, on the 3rd of February, we had a massive liquidation. This week alone, on the 24th of February, we had 800 million liquidations. On the 25th, we had 900 million liquidations. On the 27th, we've had 607 million liquidations. And today, we've had a further 670 million liquidations. On the weekly, the largest amount of liquidations is sitting at 96,000 US dollars. This is the quarterly heat map of liquidations, and as you can see here, the most liquidations is sitting at 109,000 US dollars. And finally, this is the 6-month liquidation heat map, and the biggest target is sitting at 6.2 billion liquidations. Fear and greed is currently at 16. Now, a few days ago, it was sitting at 50 at neutral, and then we cascaded all the way down to 10, ladies and gentlemen. And the last time we got to these extreme fear indicators was in 2023, and most importantly, in the 2021 bull market. We hit the fear and greed 10, the number 10, 4 times, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We normally stay in these lower regions for a little while. It's not immediate. We stay at these lower levels until we bounce and go up higher to extreme greed. If you're new to the channel, I've shown you this many times. This is public information. Every time we hit these upper areas, it marks an altcoin peak. Every time we've done this, we always go to the lower regions. This is no different now. I've said this when it went here, it went down. I said this when it went here, and it went down. What do you think is going to happen now? We're going to head into these lower areas of Bitcoin season, and then it's going to turn around to the upper areas. Now, if we want to see altcoin season, we have to hold for approximately 88 days. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen, is just an altcoin rally. You must sell the rallies. You hold the altcoin seasons. This is the realized profit and loss ratio. And every time we hit these lower areas, it means the short-term hodlers have capitulated. And every time we hit these lower areas, it's been a fantastic time to buy the dip. There's only been one occasion during 2024 till now for a whole year where this indicator was false. The majority of the time during this bull run, it's been a great opportunity to buy the dip. So 4 out of 5 times, if you bought the dip, it would be a great opportunity. So are we actually in a bear market? This is the short-term holder supply. And as you can see here, the short-term holders mimic the price of Bitcoin. So whenever Bitcoin goes up, so do they buy. Whenever it goes down, so does the short-term hodler percentage. And right now, as you can see, they've been buying and buying as the price has been going up higher and higher. However, the long-term hodlers have been accumulating regardless of the price heading up or down. Are we really in a bear market? That's the real meat and bones of this. I'm just checking because it's going to get real wild soon. Let's have a look at the general markets. And the S&P 500 has closed today, a weekly and monthly close today at 1.59%, which is impressive. However, we did cascade downwards and went all the way down to 5% in just a few days, in literally 7 days. We went down 5% for the S&P 500 in just over a week, 8 days. We've broken past the 120-day moving average. We've hit this area right over here and formed it as resistance. And if we have a look at the monthly, I believe it closed on the monthly just above the 120-day moving average. This typical setup right over here is an undecisive candle. It means bears nor bulls were able to move the price. Bitcoin and altcoins weren't the only financial assets at extreme fear. It was also the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. And that normally marks a local bottom. But have we really seen the absolute bottom? We have some bad news in the horizon. We might already be heading into a recession. The Atlanta Fed have predicted the next GDP numbers are going to be minus 1.5%. On the 4th of February, the Atlanta Fed predicted 4% GDP growth. Then a week later, on the 25th of February, it predicted 2%. And as of today, it's predicting minus 1.5% in real GDP estimates for 2025 Q1. The S&P 500 has gone down 5%, hit my trend line right over here and bounced at a whopping 1.59%. On the monthly, we are moving sideways. The Nasdaq has also gone down precipitously from the very peak to the trough. Has gone down 8%. It has also made a bounce for the Friday close. However, the VIX is at elevated prices. As you can see here, we're at 20. And lastly, we had a massive spike in August 2024. And this marked the bottom. If I overlay the VIX with Bitcoin, I can show you something interesting. And as you can see here, the VIX actually spiked. The VIX spiked to 66. And this, ladies and gentlemen, marked the absolute bottom. As you can see here, the VIX has a close correlation, surprisingly, to the VIX. As of now, it's at 22. Bitcoin is currently bouncing off the lows. However, we need buyers to really step in. They have stepped in at this mark, and the CME gap is at this mark. It's filled the CME gap and now heading to this resistance. If it forms it as resistance and not support, ladies and gentlemen, then we can do something similar to this and head to my ultimate target of $75,000 US. I did say this in a previous episode. I would advise you not to catch a falling knife. I'll explain what happens during a bull and a bear market. Now, a bull market dies on euphoria. Let me repeat that again. A bull market dies on euphoria. A bear market is born in depression. If you want to buy the dips, then wait for some sideways action. Once you see sideways action, ladies and gentlemen, this is normally a bottom signal. Remember, bear markets are born in depression. Bull markets die in euphoria. For example, I'll give you Solana. Now, Solana had a massive run up and finally died on euphoria with Trump. Trump was the biggest top signal anyone could have ever imagined. Who's bigger than Trump? The president of the United States of America, the richest man on the planet, made a meme coin on Solana. It dies in euphoria. Whereas FTX capitulation moment happened right here on December the 29th, 2022. Solana got to $8. This is the period when I bought. Bull markets are born in depression. So what happens next in this cycle? Are we in a bull market or a bear market? We can typically see retracements of 30%. This is normal in a bull market. We saw a retracement from the peak to the trough of 32%. And again, we saw a meteoric drawdown of approximately 55%. We had a dead cat bounce and made a new higher high. Ultimately, we could see the same play out in this cycle. We broke the 120-day moving average, likewise here. We'll probably see a dead cat bounce. I repeat, do not catch a falling knife. Wait for prices to stabilize and then you re-enter. If you are a long-term holder, I wouldn't buy Bitcoin because it is expensive. Altcoins are cheap. You have to remember where we are in the cycle. We're near the tail end of the cycle. I'll show you this. As you can see here, the 2017 cycle lasted for 1,057 days. The 2020 cycle, ironically enough, ranged for 1,057 days. And then finally, we have this current cycle. I simply got the fractals from here and overlaid it into the present cycle as of now. Typically, we last for 1,057 days from the very, very bottom of the bear market all the way to the peak of the bull market. So from the start right here all the way to the finish right here. We have cycle 1 marked in blue, cycle 2 marked in red, and finally cycle green, cycle 3 marked as yellow. And as you can see, you can't see it properly. Let me do black. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we're still on track. We had a deviation here, and I said previously in a previous episode, exactly 1 year ago, March 18th, I did say during that period in 2024, we've deviated and we're going to come back to the mean. We could either deviate and touch this area, or we can come back into the center. This happened again right over here. We almost kissed this area. Probability wise, we're still in schedule, nor have we deviated from the present cycles. We still, ladies and gentlemen, from here to here have 231 days. That, ladies and gentlemen, normally marks the peak. There are speculations that we might have a left translated cycle. There isn't enough information for me to continue with this argument. What will happen next regarding Bitcoin? Let me show you on the daily, and from here we could end up, like I said last time, to 75,000 US dollars, form a dead cat bounce and continue to go up higher to around a double top. We could play out the same cycle again, or we could head to this trend line right over here if we do not hold 75,000 US dollars. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a massive deviation, and altcoins will suffer. If the wider market has a downturn, the S&P 500 goes down another 10, maybe 20%, then Bitcoin could see lower prices. However, there is a caveat, and that is the Fed will have no choice but to cut interest rates and also start the printing press, or at least NQT. And that's going to be good news for us in the long term. As of now, objectively speaking, the bulls have to step in, and they have to step in and regain this area, form it as support, and continue to form it at support. If some of you are trapped in this horrific downturn, then what you do is you wait for higher prices. Whenever you exit, you wait for higher prices. Do not panic sell, because the tide always changes and we revert to the mean. So we could see something like this, hit this as resistance, and come back down. Ultimately, I believe we're still heading to 75,000 for the short term. In the long term, we're still in a bull market. Now, Ethereum is still in struggle street, and it managed to regain my area right over here, which is a positive sign. It's filled my wick, like I've said many times. I've said this many times in my videos. If you've been paying attention, if you're new here, I said many times, we're going to fill this wick. Right now, like I said in the previous episode, we are following the wick. Yeah, we're filling this wick. I said it during this massive ascend, and I said that we're most likely going to retest these lower areas. We sliced through all of these resistance like butter. Once you see massive green candles, or blue candles in this case, we're normally going to retest these lows. We're going to test participants' conviction. Markets have a tendency to do this. They retrace back to the scene of the crime. Stacks is going to retest this wick. BVM making all-time new lows. We're going to fill the wick here. This is not a good example on Solana. XRP, we're going to fill the wick. dot. We're going to fill the wick. I can show you any of these coins. Fill the wick, and finally fill the wick. Get it? Ethereum is definitely on struggle street. It's hit this trend line multiple times, but it couldn't hold. Finally, it cascaded and collapsed. The bulls couldn't hold this line, and unfortunately, we've head down to here. Or fortunately, I bought here. I'm going to buy some more at 1600. These are extremely cheap prices. Now, what I mean by cheap, objectively speaking, Bitcoin is at 100,000 US dollars. However, Ethereum was at 3,000. If anyone told me last cycle that Bitcoin will get to 100,000 US dollars, 110,000 US dollars, and Ethereum will be at a mere 3,000 US dollars, I would have lost my shirt. And it's just this, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely cheap prices. And I want to show you something interesting regarding the price action. Ethereum, as you can see, made a peak here, another peak here, but it didn't make an all-time new high. Similarly, we made a lower high, and a final lower high. It wasn't until we saw a recession, i.e. the pandemic, and also QE started and began at that time, because I can overlay the total assets under management right over here. It wasn't until we saw the pandemic, then Ethereum continued. Then Ethereum actually entered the bear market. Now remember what I said, bull markets die upon euphoria. Bear markets are born in depression. Right here. If I place a trend line right over here, and with Ethereum, the same thing, I place a trend line right over here. It hit this trend line once, twice, and the third time could mark the very, very bottom, where we get a capitulation moment, just like we saw right over here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we could see something similar where we could have another one here, 1 right here, could have something similar, 2 right here, and maybe a third one, 3. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. But this is dubious speculation. We don't know when the Fed will pivot. Allegedly, they're saying QT is going to end in the middle of the year. That's going to give some respite for Ethereum and ultimately altcoin. As of now, for the short term, we could see a bounce to this area, to this resistance right over here at $2,821. Solana price targets. We're currently at $147. And as you can see here, we had a massive bounce upon the news that there is a new Solana CM, and it could boost an ETF approval odds. That, in my opinion, is going to happen. And that's why it had a reversal for today. However, it could be a dead cat bounce. So be wary. The bears are sitting right over here at $163. If we break that area, the next resistance is at $176. ADA price targets. It's going to head to this wick right over here at 50 cents. Remarkably, ADA hasn't gone down as much as its counterparts. It's gone down 56%, which is a massive decrease. But compared to other altcoins that have seen bigger drawdowns of 50, 60, 70, 80%, ADA is holding relatively well. Its dominance is currently at 0.81%. Its peak dominance in ADA was at a whopping 4.52%. Let's have a look at some of the other players and other coins. Avalanche has broken this trend line and as of now has gone down 63%. It has formed this area as resistance. Is currently testing it at the moment. We need this to hold above this area. Put some cheeky longs around this area once it holds above this area. Next resistance is at $29. It's going to be the weekend in a few days. I don't think we're going to see much action during the weekend. A quick honorable mention, the next play is DeFi and RWAs. Go to that section, to that category. More and more participants are moving away from these highly speculative natured coins like meme coins, and they're moving into RWA protocols and also DeFi. We all know meme coins are cancerous by nature. We've had millions and millions of meme coins, and all they've done is be extractive in nature. MakerDAO is gonna make a big return. This is an honorable mention. Check it out. XRP is currently testing support right over here. If I show you the daily moving averages and the Hichimoji cloud, it's at the moment slightly in this area. At the moment it's slightly in the bull market support band. It needs to hold this area, form it as support. If it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, right over here, it's going to test the wick over here. If it doesn't hold, then ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head to my next area of support at $1.51. DOT is currently at $4.71. We're heading higher into this area, retesting this area as resistance. Normally, markets do this all the time. They normally always, or majority of the time, go back to this area to confirm whether it's actual resistance or not. We'll see in a few days what happens next. Most likely, the bulls need to hold this area as support and head up higher. Meme coins are dead and buried. However, Dodge has always got a future. Chainlink is currently underneath the 120-day moving average. From the peak to the trough, it's gone down 56%. We re-entered this massive area right over here where it was previously forming it as resistance. And now, once again, it's formed it as resistance. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a fake out. What we're going to do is again retest this area, consolidate, and once again either break out or break down. We're going to zoom out and we're going to look at the total market. This is everything, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything. And the bad news is we've re-entered the previous low. What we wanted to see is to hold above this area. It didn't. It's forming it as resistance at the moment, and this definitely looks bearish. This is total 2, and as you can see in a previous episode, I did say that it's formed it as resistance and now heading lower. We almost formed a new higher high. The bad news is we formed a double top right over here. We didn't even manage to make a new higher high. Unfortunately, we ended up making a double top, and a double top is normally a reversal signal. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. This is total 3. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, has also made a double top, and now we're heading back to this area just over here at 700 billion. We're most likely going to retest this area. The good news is we're forming higher highs after higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. And finally, we have others dominance. Every time we hit these areas, we normally see altcoin season. Hit this area, altcoin season, or a rally. At the moment, this is the first time in history where we didn't see an altcoin season. That's why the sentiment is so low. The good news, ladies and gentlemen, is it's beginning to turn around. We have Bitcoin dominance, and currently it's at 60%. This at the moment is too early to call. I don't want to. The last time we moved sideways was during this period in November 2024. This was a period of distribution. This is too early to call at the moment. We need this to break down convincingly. It won't happen until the Fed adequately cut interest rates and stop quantitative tightening. After that, it will mark the absolute top for Bitcoin dominance. This is the concentration to whales, to investors and retail. Whales on the 30-day chart have gone up by 4.13%. Investors have gone down by 10% and panic sold, whereas retail have also gone up by 0.5%. Ethereum is cheap, and I'm going to continue to buy altcoins because they are cheap. Whenever the whales begin to sell, that is when you have short-term holders enter into the market. You buy during depression and you sell during euphoria. Remember, bear markets are born in depression. Bull markets die in euphoria. I don't know how long this is going to take. It might take a few months. It might take a few years. It might take 20 years. But altcoins are cheap. That's it for now. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join our private members. And wherever you are, Ramadan Mubarak to you and your family. Peace.